2024 has been such a disappointment for the Toaru fanbase. It's meant to be the 20th anniversary year, where we're meant to be celebrating 20 years of this incredible franchise, which has spanned numerous entries in the franchise across different media, light novels, manga, and of course anime. And yet here we are, near the end of the year. And what do we have? Well, something happened recently. The gacha game Toaru Imaginary Fest got cancelled because Square Enix invested too much in NFTs, which was a really great decision, wasn't it? And unfortunately, Toaru and many other gacha games have been cancelled as a result, and now it's dead. Now you can't use any of the cards that you wailed for using real money if you're one of those people. Instead, you've got a glorified art gallery in the form of an offline version, aptly named the memorial version of the game. Yeah, because it's a funeral, my god. The game is dead, and now we have a digital art gallery to celebrate it. And another physical art book at that, as we also have the overdue 4th art book of Haimura covering the end of New Testament, which is the second light novel series of Index, and on top of that we have the Imaginary Fest art book. What else have we gotten this year other than that? Well, we've had the standard releases of GT volumes, which has been 2, and that's pretty much it, apart from some merchandise, a railgun event over in Japan, a concert in fact, and another in-person event if you happen to live in Tachikawa City. Well, technically the 20th anniversary year is not over. We were promised numerous announcements across the year, and this is what we get. But yes, it's technically not over. It technically lasts till April 2025, but do you guys really think we're gonna get something cool? Listen, I'm not an entitled fan. If we got an anime, especially Index New Testament, that'd be amazing. Even though Index Season 3 was an utter joke, I'm still happy that the series is getting out there and being promoted in whatever shape and form. And if done right, Index NT could be a success. Even if we didn't, even if we got an anime adaptation of one of the spin-offs, like Astral Buddy or the Dark Matter manga, that'd been sick. But none of that. Okay, that's fine. Maybe we can get a spin-off of some kind. Maybe, God forbid, a Magic Side spin-off. That would be cool. We've all wanted that forever. Or maybe, if not that, we can have the Sugita spin-off, since we are checking all the boxes of the level 5s who have spin-offs, and Sugita and Aihana are the ones who don't have a spin-off yet. But no, not even that. Honestly, when they released the Dark Side item spin-off, they should have saved that for this year. Rather than releasing it out of nowhere and doing a manga for it, they should have saved one of those until now. Or maybe they should have released it when Index 3 came out, where Mugano and Frenda were at the forefront of the story. But it got released at the most bizarre time possible. I'm happy it exists, don't get me wrong, the Dark Side item, the spin-off is really good, but I just don't get the decision-making at the top. Whether it's Kadokawa or Dengeki Bunko, or JC Staff, or a mix of all three, it's ridiculous. How has this happened? It's an absolute disaster. It's a disgrace that Toaru and Index is meant to be the most popular light novel series of all time, or once was. The best-selling at least, until it was recently overtaken by Slime Data Tensei. And even Railgun's not had much attention. Not that I can blame it, because there's not as much content to adapt with the Railgun manga as there is Index. I mean, with Index, you've literally got enough content to make 3 or 4 more seasons, and yet you do nothing with it. Are you telling me they don't have the budget to do this? Or is it a matter of they have no faith in the franchise, which I find ridiculous? Index is still ongoing, and Railgun, Misaka, they generate loads of money. And of course, that's why Railgun has always had the most attention. It's always had the better animation, the better story, partially because, okay, it's easier to adapt a manga into an anime than a light novel into an anime. But at the same time, look how badly Index 3 was treated. It wasn't even given the right amount of episodes. It should have been at least 34 episodes or more. And yet the higher-ups at Kadokawa or JC Staff were like, no, we're not giving you 10 more episodes. We're giving you 2 more episodes. That's going to make much of a difference. It's honestly mind-boggling that this amazing franchise, which I love so much, is being treated like this. And yes, it's 20 years old, and we're not the only ones. Fate has also had a poor 20th anniversary as well. But Fate's hugely popular. It's more popular than Index. With Fate Grand Order, which is an endless money-making machine, they haven't had their gacha game cancelled, and yes, we have had a letter from the producer of Imaginary Fest apologising that this has happened during the 20th anniversary year. I don't think it was his decision. It's clearly the higher-ups at Square Enix who have decided to pull the plug, and unfortunately, it's coincided with this. Whatever you think about gacha games, like, Toaru Imaginary Fest was fun for what it was. I really loved to see, like, the New Testament characters being animated and voiced for the first time, seeing that opening with Kakina versus Style and Kanzaki and Ofteness versus the level 5s. That was absolutely sick. So we got some great stuff out of that game, even if you're not a fan of the gameplay or whatever, or the spending real-life money to earn an advantage. It's just so bad that it's happened during this year. Like, this is the most significant event that's happened in the 20th anniversary year, other than the standard index volume releases, but that's to be expected every year. That's the given. We've literally had nothing, so it just feels like a massive punch in the face for us fans. And you might be thinking, oh, Aeon, you're so entitled. Look how much content we have already. Like, yes, we do have a lot of content in light novels and manga, and yes, we do have a lot of seasons of the anime, but there's still so much story that needs to be adapted, to be told. Because let's face it, how many of the casual Toaru fans do you know who actually read the light novels or read the manga for Railgun? How many, seriously? Go on. Let me take a step back here. Let me define what a casual fan of Toaru is. I'm not talking about a person who spends all their day on Toaru Twitter arguing about the dumbest stuff possible. Because let's face it, if you go on Toaru Twitter all day, you're replying to some of the most dedicated people who spend all their time online talking about this franchise and arguing about dumb stuff. We all know people who are there. That's not casual Toaru fans. The casual Toaru fans are the ones who are basically seasonal anime watchers who are pretty old school, maybe, who happen to go and see, oh, Railgun T is airing. I remember watching Railgun X amount of years ago. Oh, yeah, I'm going to check out that. And boom, you've got millions of views for Railgun T opening 1 or opening 2 or whatever. Or people checking out the highlights on YouTube. You know, the Dragon Strike versus Misaka level 6 shift. That's the casual audience. They're not the ones who are talking about it all the time. They're the ones who tune in every now and then when they see a new anime. They don't give a shit. Well, most of them don't give a shit about the novels. Some of them are interested in being spoiled, but others are not. They watch other shit as well as Railgun and Index. They just happen to see, oh, yeah, this is cool. Let's tune in. That is the main crux of the issue. Whatever you think about the Index light novel sales decreasing over time, whether it's accurate or not, because it doesn't take into account like the ebook online sales, whatever you want to think about that, it's still doing pretty well. I mean, I looked at like the GT reception or the sales figures on Bookwalker, and GT still does pretty alright considering it's 20 years old. And Index will likely still continue. I'm not worried about the light novels whatsoever. But again, the light novels appeals to such a small fraction of the audience, especially in the West. How we get more people into it is through the anime. That's why the anime needs to be good, and that's why Railgun has been hugely successful, especially in China and Japan. That's why, whatever you think about, oh, Index anime is not that great, I agree. It's never going to be as good as the light novels, because the light novels is peak fiction, which I love. And I'm reading the light novels made Toaru my favorite franchise of all time. I didn't care as much about the Index anime. I liked Accelerator, I liked his story, I didn't really care about Toma, I didn't care about Kanzaki. Everything else I was kind of confused by. But I read the light novels and I was like, oh my god, this is actually good. I like everything. And there's so many people who won't get to experience that because they don't like reading or whatever. I'm not dissing the people who don't want to check out light novels. Like, if you're a fan of Toaru and you don't check out the light novels, that's fine. You're still a Toaru fan. You're not less of a fan or more of a fan. It's like people who watch Star Wars who don't read the books. This is why the anime is so important for marketing the series, getting people into it. Whatever you think about it, like, I enjoy seeing my favorite scenes animated, even in Index 3, apart from the ones that were completely butchered, like Fuyama versus Toma, my god. But you get my point. Maybe the poor reception to Index 3 is the reason why they just don't have the courage to do New Testament, because they're like, oh my god, there's even more content to adapt here. Maybe like Kadokawa's like, oh okay, no one liked Index 3, so we're just gonna do nothing now. Like, we can't do any more of Index. It's too risky because people are just gonna be mad no matter what we do. But that's not true. Like, if Index New Testament is given the right vision, it could be a success. Like, come on. New Testament has an arc like ReZero. I know it's not like the same, but the Office arc, come on. I bet that would attract a more casual audience. I bet everyone wants to find out Shokuho's past with Toma. I bet New Testament 11 would make a banger movie. I bet as a movie that would like do really well. Maybe that's the reason why we haven't had anything in years. Is it purely because of Index 3? Maybe. I just want something, man. Like, I'm just frustrated because we've literally had nothing this entire year. I'm an optimistic person. I love this series. I want this series to do really well. I want this series to continue to be relevant in 2024. And I definitely think it can. Look at how Genesis Testament is doing in terms of the writing. I know there's some bits of Genesis Testament I don't like, and that applies to everyone, but I feel like Kamachi overall has done a great job of balancing newer elements of the story, writing something unique that people don't expect, and also reintegrating that with some of the old stuff, like the old story beats from Old Testament. Yeah, so I do think Index continues to be relevant and still be a success. Like, people are tired of isekai light novel series. Maybe the old school way of doing things is better. Maybe people like that. It's like the Renaissance or retro. People like old stuff too. Like, it's not all about the latest crappy, light novel adaptation of whatever that people forget about in a month's time. I refuse to believe that it's a budget issue because, JC Staff makes God knows how many anime a year. And they give a lot of newcomer series a chance, and they should be given that chance. But don't forget, Index is an iconic franchise that has inspired so many light novel series after it. And if you look at some of its competitors, it's just been treated so poorly in terms of anime adaptations. I know it's a really tough task to adapt, but if you look at Fate is a convoluted, lore-heavy series. And yet look how successful the anime of Fate was. Like, Fate Zero Episode 1 is just a complete info dump. And look how successful Fate Zero was. So I don't understand the logic saying, oh, it's a light novel, it's dense, it can't be done in animated format. I believe it can, but again, I repeat myself, it's not gonna be as good as the source material. But why can't it be a fraction less better? Why can't it be given the right direction? Fleshing Tomoe out as an interesting character, giving the right amount of pacing, the right amount of episodes. Why can't it do that? And again, it doesn't have to be New Testament. I bet Astral Buddy would be a huge success as an anime, and it tells a complete story from beginning to end. And that's one of the main criticisms of the Toaru franchise, that Railgun and Index don't seem to have an end in sight. But there are spin-offs exploring different aspects of this hugely interesting world that do tell a complete story. And you have that, expanded universe element about it where if they watch Astral Buddy, then they can check out the rest of the stuff. And hey-ho, you've just got someone new into the Toaru franchise. There's just so many missed opportunities. And yes, you could say, oh, there's so many entries in the Toaru series that it's basically just an endless money-making machine. If so, why not exploit the fact that you can make more anime? It just seems to be the case, oh, they can just write books forever, but why can't that be applied to anime? And say what you want about like the amount of books there are in the Toaru, whether some of them are necessary or not. Toaru is such a huge universe that I feel like there's so many aspects to it that even in the source material, there's so many unexplored angles that Kamachi can go down, or a spin-off or a side story can go down. And that's the beauty of it. That's what makes Toaru unique. That's its unique selling point. It's huge amount of content and its vast, incredible world. At least that's its unique selling point for me. And I think that applies to most fans. And I want to stay positive. Like, maybe they're working on something in the background, but I highly doubt it. We've had absolutely nothing. I don't know when the next Dengeki Fest would be, and that's when they usually announce like new anime projects. I want to be bringing exciting news, stuff to look forward to, because as someone who makes a Toaru channel, I really wanted like something to be excited for this year, other than GT releases, which is the standard. But instead we get a gacha game cancelled. Part of the reason why I do this is I want to bring newer fans into it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not quitting. All this criticism of like the execs, the higher ups, whoever make these crappy decisions and don't do anything with this incredible IP, I want them to do better. I want this franchise to succeed. So it comes from a place of love. Yeah, part of the reason why I do this is because I want more fans to get into it. I want more people to discover Index. That's the reason why I started this channel. But imagine how many more people would discover Index or Railgun if there was more love put into the future of the franchise. I'll do my part. I'll continue to do my part. Let me know what you think about this, guys. Are you as angry, upset as I am? Do you honestly think there's going to be something next year? Because I don't. So please, if anyone from Kadokawa, Dengeki Bunko, JC Staff is watching somehow and knows English, please, we love this series. Do something.